Our opening thought comes from Howard Thurman and his work, Jesus and the Disinherited. Thurman writes, "Despite all the positive psychological attributes of hatred we have outlined, hatred destroys finally the core of life of the hater. While it lasts, burning in white heat, its effect seems positive and dynamic, but at last it turns to ash, for it guarantees a final isolation from one's fellows. It blinds the individual to all values of worth, even as they apply to oneself and to others. Hatred bears deadly and bitter fruit." Our next reading comes from Adam Kahane. Love and Power, A Theory and Practice of Social Change is the book that it comes from. He writes, "Love is what makes power generative instead of degenerative. Power is what makes love generative instead of degenerative. Power and love are therefore exactly complementary. In order for each to achieve its full potential, it needs the other." Our next reading comes from Paul Tillich from his book, Love, Power, and Justice. Tillich writes, "Love and power are often contrasted in such a way that love is identified with a resignation of power and power with a denial of love. Powerless love and loveless power are contrasted. This is, of course, unavoidable if love is understood from its emotional side and power from its compulsory side. But such an understanding is error and confusion. It was this misinterpretation which induced the philosopher of the will to power, Nietzsche, to reject radically the Christian idea of love. Religious expression becomes evil when it seeks to coerce rather than love. And far too often, our image of the divine mystery, whatever the divine mystery is, that's why it's a mystery. Our image of the divine mystery is one of such coercion rather than love. If there were a force behind the universe that required eternal and everlasting suffering and punishment for any entity that did not love this force the way it wanted to be loved, or that did not adhere to a certain set of beliefs about this force, then the proper reaction to such a force would be resistance, not worship. True love does not work through coercion and violent force. And if we believe that the divine mystery is love, then the divine mystery relates to and loves the universe without such coercion and threats. Who we really are is more related to how we love others and how we treat others justly than what we believe. And one of the greatest challenges of our time is learning how to resist the injustices that we experience in the world effectively through love without succumbing to hate. I'm grateful for the many ways expressing love and justice have been modeled for me by a variety of groups and persons, both religious and non-religious, throughout the many years of my life. I'm thankful for the 3 United Methodist University, shout out to the United Methodist. I'm thankful for the 3 United Methodist universities I attended and for all of the United Methodist ministers and professors who encourage me to do no harm to others, to actively do good in the world, and to have an open mind, and to be accepting of persons who have different experiences of the world and who orient themselves to religion in different ways. I am thankful that through their wisdom and guidance, I do not feel compelled to attempt to make everyone have the same views about the world or the divine mystery. One of the key theological insights of the founder of Methodism, John Wesley, was a recognition that the ultimate goal of following the way of Jesus in the world is neither perfect doctrine nor perfect belief, but rather perfect love. I'm thankful for my Unitarian Universalist parents and all of my UU friends who helped show me the importance of seeking truth wherever it may be found, and that love, compassion, and justice are ways of being in the world that are open to all persons, no matter what their orientation to religion might be. I'm thankful for my Muslim friends who have shown me a sacrificial commitment to God and to love and service of others in the world that leaves me in awe and gratitude. I am thankful for my Jewish relatives and friends and for the prophets of the Hebrew Bible who remind me of the importance of the liberation of the oppressed and justice for the poor and the vulnerable among us. I'm thankful for my Buddhist friends who have taught me about mindfulness, being fully present to the moment, something I have not yet mastered, letting go of unhelpful attachments, living a simple life, and having a deep and abiding compassion for others and all sentient beings. I'm thankful for my Sikh neighbors who have expressed some of the deepest levels of hospitality I've ever experienced or witnessed. I'm thankful for my encounters with friends in the Hindu tradition, especially during my summer in India, and how much they have taught me about the power of nonviolence and satyagraha. I'm thankful for my indigenous friends who have shown me a deep commitment to community and care for the earth in the midst of ongoing attempts to annihilate their traditions, language, and culture. I'm thankful for my atheist and agnostic friends and family who are often more loving and compassionate to people and to the community of all life than those who identify themselves as religious. I'm thankful for Jesus for continuing the way of the Hebrew prophets by bringing good news to the poor, liberation to the oppressed, and loving care for the most vulnerable. I'm thankful for Jesus' teachings about peacemaking, humility, and justice. I'm thankful for his willingness to turn over the tables of greed and corruption and for not acquiescing to the oppressive power of empire, even to the point of being brutally and publicly executed owing to his resistance to the ways of the empire. I have faith that this way of love and justice in the world will never die, no matter how many times the empire attempts to kill it or co-opt it. I can only hope that this way of love and justice in the world, with similar courage and care, will continue to grow, and love for others will bring justice and liberation in our world. I trust that the divine mystery is such that nothing will be ultimately lost of the love, compassion, and justice that is lived out by billions of people on earth who orient themselves to religion differently. I also trust that the divine mystery has no desire, compulsion, or plan for the eternal suffering of anyone just because they have different beliefs about religion or the cosmos. My faith is in the power of love, the power of love that can bring us together in just and beloved community in which we all care for one another in the midst of our beautiful diversity. And I pray that the power of this love will bring us salvation, salvation from harm and death and the ways of hatred, fear, and greed that are bringing to us suffering, so much suffering in our world, that we might bring about greater human community and greater ecological community, the ecological community of which we are all a part. I'm thankful for all of you who are sharing in this struggle for beloved community. And I ultimately pray that love will win. What the world so desperately needs now is not a focus on who is in and who is out, but rather on how deeply, expansively, and justly we can all love one another. In times that are dark and full of fear, hatred, and violence, it's important to remember that the forces of evil in days, years, and centuries past often thought that they had the last word, only to see that love and justice have a way of not being fully overcome by the darkness and continuing to live on. As Martin Luther King Jr. reminds us, returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And as the great theologian and mystic Howard Thurman reminds us, who was also a mentor to King, to make it through this world with integrity requires that we overcome fear, deception, and hate, and somehow make our way to love. And this love brings with it a power. It's not powerless love. It brings with it a power to transform systems of injustice and to enable us all to live and love into beloved community. May unrelenting grace, responsible freedom, boundless love, and justice for all keep us in love with each other for the sake of each other, and for the sake of all life on this precious earth, which is our only home. May we see that love is not powerless, and may we reject the use of loveless power as we express the power of love to bring justice for all. Our parting thought comes from Theodore Parker, his writing of Justice and the Conscience. Parker writes, "I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience, and from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice."